Thousands of people pass Bishop Auckland's Butterwick Hospice every day without realising its enormous impact on the community. Yet the care and compassion offered to hundreds of people throughout the entire region when they need it most is immeasurable. Think of Bishop Auckland Hospice as the hub of a large wheel which sends out spokes of care far into the community. The isolated villages, towns and dales of County Durham, Sedgefield, Stanhope, Barnard Castle, wherever care is needed. Daycare, home care, help with bereavement, counselling, therapy, and physio. Years of Butterwick experience offered completely free of charge. Everyone in this region, it seems, knows someone who has needed the Butterwick. That care extends life, brings relief from pain and symptoms, offers support and reassurance, respite for families, and a range of complementary therapies. It all costs a good deal of money. There is a contribution from the NHS, but without the goodwill and generosity of the community, such an all-embracing service would not be possible, and that would be a tragedy for hundreds of people and their families each year.
Sometimes the patients who've been they've been going for treatments in hospital, having chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and then they get told that there's nothing more they can do for them. They feel very much abandoned. Them coming to the hospice and having some sort of treatment like the aromatherapy or the physiotherapy means that they feel that they're not abandoned and there is some sort of treatments that can still help them, and it can give them a positive outlook on the time that they've got left.
But let's return to that hub in Bishop Auckland and daycare. It provides the opportunity for people to discuss any worries or issues with specialist doctors and nurses. People facing life-limiting progressive illnesses can feel isolated, stressed and anxious. But we offer a haven, a place to chat to others in a similar situation. Creative and complementary therapies.
It was a bit of a shock at first, obviously. It's not very nice to be told that you've got cancer. I say coming here, but just because some people have the same condition, so you can talk about it. It gives each other reassurance, especially when you're keeping well, it gives other people a little bit of hope.
Well, it gives you something to look forward to, and it's contact, isn't it, with the outside world as well. Because I'm stuck at home, I don't see anybody,
I think because he was only 47, he got a feeling that it was for elderly people. But when he came along and he saw what treatments were available, he liked to have a pamper. They do all kinds of aromatherapy treatments, which helped him to relax and settle him into hospice. He came twice a week. And he used to love his bath. The nurses given him his bath, and then they were giving some physiotherapy. He was always heavily into sport, so he enjoyed the physio side of it. He always remained positive that he was going to overcome the cancer, and the hospice helped us, I think, understand what would happen as the illness progressed and how he would feel and how we would feel in the later stages.
Some Butterwick visitors are perfectly healthy, but they are in pain, the pain of bereavement. Counsellors help them come to terms with their suffering. Age is no barrier.
We offer children one-to-one support and counselling so that they can actually talk about the stuff that really, really worries them. Particularly when a very close person dies, they are often either unable to or are told not to talk about the loss that has occurred, and so they get extremely distressed and become very, very angry and can become very agitated.
If we feel sad, we can express it. If somebody feels bad and have a big cry, there's people there that know what they're going through. This is the point. People who haven't experienced it can go up to somebody, pat you on the shoulder and say, okay lad, I know how you're feeling.
Well, since I lost my husband, I was lonely and I needed friends, and that's why I came. And I heard that they went out for meals and they went to the theatre, and I thought that's just up my street.
It's lovely when you finish working with somebody and you can see a definite process of change have taken place with them, and when they leave the building feeling empowered to be able to deal with things in their life that previously they felt they hadn't been able to deal with.
The Butterwick literally reaches out to help. Some patients need hospice care at home, particularly towards the end of their illnesses.
I think they just want to be in their own environment, surrounded by the familiar things, and to have the family there and not be sort of confined in a clinical environment. It is difficult at times because you get quite attached to the families and the patients, but very rewarding. And that you've been able to support somebody and give them the chance to be in the place that they want to be cared for.
The hospice uses facilities at the Richardson Hospital at Barnard Castle for specialist care, including patients with multiple sclerosis and motor neuron disease. They benefit not only from physio, but also the soothing aromatherapy.
Probably the best job in the world, really.
Why?
The sense of satisfaction of making a difference in someone's life is great. And to be the person who's bringing nothing but a nice experience. I'm so lucky that I'm not a nurse or a doctor, because sometimes nurses and doctors have to bring things like syringes, and I don't have to do that. I just bring relaxation, if I can.
They've told me at South Cleveland I shouldn't be here. I should have passed on by now. And where did I want to die? Was it home or hospital? I was quite shocked when they asked me that.
When you get your physio and you're stretching, you can walk much better and things don't ache as much or hurt as much. And the aromatherapy, well, that just gives you the oils, lift your spirits and just make you feel more alive and more kind of with it in life.
Are you saying that without the Butterwick, you wouldn't be here now?
My condition would be a lot worse. A lot worse, yeah.
So what do you think of them and the place?
These people here are brilliant. They're worth the weight in gold.
Meanwhile, at Stanhope, there's an ever-open door at the Weardale Community Hospital. Care as close to home as possible.
The Butterwick does provide for that individual and for the family as well, something that no one else provides. And I really have found with them, even if that's maybe a silly thing to say under the circumstances.
It takes all your worries away from you.
I tend to give up. Where do I go from now? Because I've got a problem. I've got cancer with asbestos, and you know what the score is at the end of the day, and you think, well, where do I go from here? Where do I go from there? And it wasn't until I was introduced to the Butterwick that I knew where I was going, and I had some hope and such like, so I can go to the end in dignity, and that's what the Butterwick has given me. Absolute dignity all the way through, and that I'll always be grateful for.
For me, I have nothing to look forward to. I go nowhere, I just sit in the house day after day. I mean, this is the only look out a week I get, and I really look forward to enjoying it.
But not only the dignity for me, the dignity for the family as well. And they've given me an opportunity. Excuse if I get emotional. But if it's not just me, it's the family. Just let me get myself pulled together and I'll be with you again.
It's okay, it's all right.
I'll be with you again, it's okay. You see, what people don't realise, that it's not just me that suffers. It's the whole family.